Good morning. Welcome to the Roar Hearing Assistance Program webinar. This is going to be an overview of the Roar program and our response to the pandemic. And this is the second in a series of webinars. The first webinar was last Thursday with Katie and Kelly, and they gave an overview of our optical program and how it's doing, as well as the I Promise and just what they're up to and things to do. And then next Wednesday at 11 o'clock is going to be program number 3, which is Patient Services and Mission Cataract. So I'll be part of that webinar. Looking forward to that next Thursday. And then a week after that, on May 14th, Doug Thompson, our Executive Director, is going to hold a town hall and have an opportunity for all of you to ask whatever questions you may have. And I am Kerith Melinda. I am the Patient Services Director and Operations Director here at the Lions Foundation, and I have a hand in a lot of our programs here. And then with me today, I have the amazing Melinda Rhodes, who does she's our Patient Services and Community Events Manager. So and one of those things in particular that she works on happens to be the Roar program. And so she's going to be telling you a lot about that today. So thank you, Melinda. And then in the background, we have Brenda Anderson, and she's kind of holding together all of our tech support and just keeping us going with our slides and everything. So you may hear from Brenda every now and then in the background. And then just so you know, all of you are on mute. So that's just, we're going to go through our presentation, and we won't be able to hear you if you're speaking, but you are able to go in and chat and leave questions about what we're talking about, or comments, or if there's anything, there won't be, it's going to be smooth and perfect, but if there was anything weird going on, you can type in the chat and say, oh my gosh, you know, I hear a cat howling in the background or something strange. And then Brenda's going to keep an eye on that, and then at the end of our presentation, we're going to open up for questions, and Brenda will let us know what kind of questions you have or things that you want us to know, and then we'll go through those at the end. So please do send your comments, send your questions. We'd love to have those towards the end of the webinar. So that's who's speaking today. And now I think you'll want to know what we're going to be speaking about. So what we're going to be talking about today is our Roar Hearing Assistance program. So we're going to give you an overview of the program. We're also going to talk about how it's affected by COVID-19 and how our office in general is managing with the COVID-19 situation. And then we're going to talk about handling requests that come in, and then some just ideas about things that you can be doing during this time when we're not as active as normal. So we'll be going through all of those things. And then, so Melinda is going to be starting off our program, and she's going to be talking about a few different things on the next slide for you all to see. And that is going to be the partnerships that she has with the Roar program, how to access the Roar program, and then some of those client responsibilities and expectations that we have for the program. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Melinda Rhodes, and she is going to give you the nitty-gritty of the Roar program. So here you go, Melinda.
Thanks, Kerith. This is Melinda, and thank you, Kerith. And I have the privilege of managing the Roar Hearing Assistance Program at the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation. I'm going to start with one of our oldest partnerships, and that's with RJS Acoustic Services. We've actually partnered with RJS Acoustic Services for over 30 years now. And just actually this fiscal year alone, so that's July 1st, 2019 until the end of March, we collected 2,300 used hearing aids. Those were all donated and collected by Lions clubs throughout the state, which is one of my favorite parts about that program. I love to see the cycle of a used pair of hearing aids end up with somebody in need. It's a really beautiful thing. The refurbished hearing aids offer more variety. We are only able to carry the BTE, which is behind the ear hearing aids, from some of our other manufacturer partnerships, which I'll be talking about here shortly. But with RJS, we have this great option to have a variety that is more accessible for some of our clientele who need something beyond a behind the ear hearing aid. There's a 1-year warranty included with the refurbished hearing aids, and the average price that we, the foundation, pay per hearing aid is about $120 per hearing aid. That's without the shipping and handling. The next partnership I'm going to chat about is with Starkey. And Starkey, we are currently using the Muse i1000 behind the ear. And any of you providers or Lions Club members out there may recall that we were using an older model to begin with. And so we've gone through a couple of different variations now, and we're really very excited to have access to the Muse i1000. It's a really great hearing aid, and a lot of our providers enjoy working with it. It comes with a 1-year warranty as well, and the manufacturer suggested retail price is $2,000, almost $2,500 per hearing aid. So the average price we pay per hearing aid without the shipping and handling is $150. So you can see how that generosity has translated from Starkey and to the people, the clients that we help. It's really wonderful we were able to leverage that. The next partnership that we have is with Sonic Innovations. And I think I saw that our great partner, Dr. Todd Landsberg from South Coast Hearing Aid Center in Coos Bay is joining us today. And we have him to thank for this, this partnership. He helped forge this. And we use the Cheer 60 behind the ear. And Dr. Landsberg actually prefers using this hearing aid with our Roar Mobile clinic, hearing clinics that we do around the state. There's a 3-year warranty with this hearing aid, and the price per aid is about $1,500, and we only pay $140 without shipping and handling. So that's really a wonderful opportunity as well. So I'll go on and talk about how to access the hearing assistance program. So the Lions Club would send the client, we call them clients and not patients, the client an updated Roar hearing assistance application. And each year we put together a sight and hearing chair packet, and you can find all of our updated applications in that packet. We do prefer you use the most up-to-date application, as it alleviates any miscommunication between the partners, the providers, and the foundation. So it's really great to have the updated application for all of our programs. And there's eligibility guidelines for somebody to apply for this program. They have to be at or below 200% of the federal poverty guidelines. So we update that in the packet as well each year, so you're able to view that, and I'll show you that on our next slide. They have to live in Oregon or Northern California for at least 2 consecutive years. And it has to be 2 years since they previously went through the Roar program. I love that we work for a foundation that's not run by the state or federal. It's not federal or state run. So there's some gray area. It's not black and white. I have a couple of examples for folks that there was a couple who made just a little bit over the guidelines. Their gross monthly income was just a little over, maybe about $300. And the sight and hearing chair reached out to me, and it turned out that the spouse was suffering from cancer, and they had a lot of elevated medical bills coming in. So it was really great for the club to communicate with the foundation, and we were able to go ahead and approve that client, so they were able to get the assistance that they needed. There's also another example where somebody had lived in Oregon for about 30 years, and she moved out of state for about 1.5 years to help her mother, who was at the end of her life. And then she came back and had only been in Oregon for about 8 months, and went through the Lions Club, and we were able to also approve them for assistance. You can see how it's not black and white, which I love that about our program. And when in doubt, always reach out to the foundation if you have any questions about the financial guidelines and whether or not you think somebody should be eligible for the program. So as I said, we update the federal poverty guidelines each year. So this next slide is going to show you what you would get in your packet. And this is actually 200% that's been calculated out. We work with DHS and some of these other agencies, and they're at 150% of the federal poverty guidelines and below. So we have expanded that just a little bit to be able to offer assistance to a wider variety of clients. In this next slide, I'm going to talk about what are some acceptable forms of proof of income. We get this question a lot because it is really difficult to to make a objective, determination on somebody's qualifications. So I've listed some of the different programs that if a client is participating in any of those programs and they're able to provide verification, then we would know that they're eligible for the ROAR program. And sometimes I'll receive photocopies of the Oregon Trail card, which is for the food stamps in Oregon, and that's not acceptable. I'll tell you why. When my husband and I were first married, we actually were on food stamps for several months. Money was tight, and I actually still have my Oregon Trail card. We've been married for 10 years, so if I were just going to photocopy that, it has no expiration date on it, so it's not a great form of proof of income. However, if I did have a letter from DHS that stated I was currently enrolled in that program, and then that would be perfect. That would be a great form of proof of income. And obviously, pay stubs from the last 30 days, and I've listed some other options as well that folks can submit. Yeah, my next slide is how to connect with an existing or new provider. This is something we get a lot of questions about. If you don't know who the provider is in your area, or perhaps you don't have a ROAR provider in your area, you can always reach out to me and I'd be happy to help with that. We can sort of maybe look around your area to see who would be closest. And if there really isn't a provider who's close enough, then I would ask for your help and your club members' help to brainstorm maybe some providers in the area who might be willing to work with us. And if any of you out there right now think that you know of a hearing provider in your area who might be willing to partner with the Lions, please do let me know, because we're always trying to grow our network of providers, because without the providers, we're not able to see folks. So you want to negotiate the fitting fees, and I'm happy to help with this, but I know a lot of Lions clubs enjoy creating that partnership with the provider, and I think that's very important because you want to have a partnership, the Lions Club and the hearing provider, and a trust among you. I think that's very important, and of course I will create a partnership on behalf of the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation with that provider as well. There are some wonderful hearing providers who charge nothing to the Lions Club. I'm thinking of St. Helens, and I think I saw Linda McCoy, the Sight and Hearing Chair for the St. Helens Lions Club, is going to be joining in, and they have a wonderful partnership with Columbia Hearing Aid Center up in St. Helens, and they actually don't charge the Lions Club for any fitting fees, which is pretty incredible. But some providers have to charge a fee to be able to, it's like a chair cost in a way, to be able to see the person, and that's totally understandable. And that can range up to $300 per person, and just depends on where the provider is located and what their needs are. And you want to check to see if the provider is going to prefer the payment ahead of time, or will they allow a net 30 term, which I think is always preferable to have a net 30 term. But obviously some providers will need to gain trust with your Lions Club before they're willing to do that. We can always assist with this process. As I said, I don't like to step on toes, but I know that it can be daunting to talk to a hearing provider if you haven't had a lot of experience in the world of audiology, and that's how I felt when I first started working with this program. But thanks to amazing providers that we've worked with, I picked their brain quite a bit, and I apologize, but I really appreciate it because now I have more knowledge about the program and about audiology in general. Typically after the client has been fit with their hearing aids, then the club is invoiced, and some clubs choose to pay for the ear mold and the ear impression fees, and those can vary between providers, and some clubs aren't able to pay that fee, and they would communicate with the client and let them know that that would be their responsibility. We do have quite a few hearing providers throughout the state who partner with us, and we are so grateful for them. We have just over 20 hearing providers statewide, and I've listed some of the areas where I know that those providers are located. Some of those providers also have multiple locations, and so they'll help folks in other areas as well. And some of our providers actually will travel to other locations as well, which is really helpful. We do partner with most Miracle Ear providers statewide when applicable, and I'm happy to chat with you about that in more detail if you reach out to me. So the way that somebody is going to access the program is they're going to send in their application with their proof of income, and now we know what's acceptable. And then the Lions Club is going to go ahead and approve that. Unlike the Lions Eyeglass Assistance Program, which I'm sure you all were in attendance at last week's webinar with Katie and Kelly, the foundation does need to approve that application because we're supplying the hearing aids. So it's really important that we are able to vet them as well, put them into our database, and have that information so that when it comes time to invoice for the hearing aids, we have that information available. So we also recommend that your club maybe create an approval template, which you may already have, and you would go ahead and send that letter out to the applicant once they're approved. And that's going to do a few things. It's going to tell them how to make their appointment, and it's also going to explain what we expect from them as far as the fees that they're going to be required to pay, and also what we require for participation. And I'll share a little bit more with you about that here. So the client responsibilities, at this time, it is a $150 program service fee for each hearing aid. So that's $300 for the pair. And the majority of people need a pair when they're getting hearing aids. They do usually need two hearing aids. We will allow 6 months for the client to pay these fees in full. I think it's important that you communicate with the client ahead of time before they go through this process that there are these fees involved, so that they're not able to do that at this time. They would know that maybe they would have to pause for a second and apply when they are able to do this. I wish we could waive all the fees, but unfortunately we don't have designated funding specific to the hearing aids. And we've also found that when clients pay these fees, they have more ownership in the hearing aids. When I first started at the foundation, we were working with RGS Acoustics, and clients would just go ahead and get free hearing aids through this wonderful grant that we had achieved for a couple of years and a little bit before that. And the problem was that they would come back in a couple months, my dog ate my hearing aid, or I lost a hearing aid, or it fell in the water, and the providers were expected to then sort of jump and help them. We did get a lot of feedback from the providers that when we put this fee in place, they really appreciated that the people they serve took better care of the hearing aids, because you could see we offer really great hearing aids to these clients. And so it's nice that they're taking better care of them, and in turn that alleviates some of that pressure on the provider, which is really important to us, because we want them to be happy, and we want them to partner with us for a very long time. We cannot release the hearing aids until the payment is received in full. We'd like to believe everybody is altruistic and would pay, but we know that not everybody will, and we understand that. So we do need to receive the payment ahead of time. And sometimes there's other creative options that you can recommend to the client, like maybe church or family, friends. There's some rehabilitation programs or vocational programs, and I'm happy to help you if you have somebody who's just really not able to pay, your Lions Club isn't able to assist, reach out to me and we can see what's available, okay? The next slide I want to talk about is client expectations. And this is also equally important for the client to know ahead of time. We want clients to be courteous and respectful of all of our ROAR providers. And if any issues arise, usually they know to contact me. If a provider chooses not to work with the client, then the foundation and the sponsoring Lions Club will assess whether or not the client is still eligible to receive services through the Lions ROAR Assistance Program. It could be maybe a friction between the client and the provider, or it could be just sort of inappropriate behavior that the client exhibited towards the provider, and in that circumstance, they would not be eligible to work with the program anymore. It is really important that our clients feel that they're respected and treated with utmost care as well. So if I hear from somebody that they feel that they're not being treated with respect, that is very important to me, because the people we serve are human beings, and they deserve the utmost respect. That's incredibly important to me. So I'm going to turn it over to Kerith, and she's going to chat a little bit about our response to COVID-19, and I'll let you have it, Kerith.
Thank you, Melinda. Thanks for all that great information. So one of the big things that usually we're doing during this time of year is we're seeing a lot of you all over the state and inviting you to our Keep the Promise breakfast event. And this year, we weren't able to have a lot of those, but we're still keeping the promise here at OLSHF at the Oregon Blind Sight and Hearing Foundation. And so we're inviting you virtually to help us keep the promise. And so you've probably been getting some great emails and seeing some great posts on the internet about how you can help us keep the promise virtually, even though we're not physically together at an event sitting around the table and chatting. So our office, when everything was happening with all the COVID situation, we decided to go ahead and close the office. And all of our employees are actually working from home. So we were able to just have that in place so that there's only a few of us that are actually coming into the office. And when we do, we're limiting the number of us that are here. And so like if I'm here, there may be one other person in the office, but it's not going to be someone who's in my same space. I'm actually in my office right now. So I'm sitting here, and Tiffany was here earlier, but she's left for the day. So that's how we're helping each other keep distant and keep healthy and keep safe, and following just all the things that we need to do here in Oregon to get us all back to work as quick as we can. And then one of the other people that's here in the office is Sammy. She comes in, or someone else from the optical team will come in, and they're keeping an eye on all those I Promise orders and LEAP orders that are coming in. They're helping people troubleshoot repairs and other orders and things that may be coming in. So even though we're closed, physically closed, we're actually still running all those programs. And so it's great to have them taking turns going into the warehouse, like Tracy and her son Nick. They went out to the Lions Eyeglass Recycling Center to sort hearing aids, and still dropping orders in the mail so that they can be on their way to people, and so people can get their glasses, and they're not necessarily having to wait until the summer. And then one of my favorite photos on this particular slide, those of you that know me will know that all those cats mean that must be a photo of me. So that's me working from home with my furry friends, with Aggie and Georgia and Cecilia. I've had a lot of company working from home, and they're kind of entertaining. We did a webinar practice, and one of them actually bit me during the webinar practice. So I'm actually kind of glad to be in the office today without the furry friends and the distractions. But it's been a lot of fun. And then we're planning on being closed completely for at least the next couple weeks, and it's probably going to be longer. We're following the information from the governor and other things that we're hearing about when it's going to be safe to open up, when they want businesses to open up. But in the meantime, just know that we are here. All of our programs are, we're here to answer questions. We're doing our best to find out what all of our providers are doing and keeping an eye on when they're open and when they're not. And I know these next couple slides, we're going to talk about some of the ways that we can still make things happen even while we're closed for COVID-19. So one of the things that you can do and that we've been doing is you can actually go ahead and reach out to those local providers. So I'm in regular contact, and I know Melinda is, and Katie and Kelly, through email, a lot of email, because a lot of businesses, even if they are open, they're really limited on their hours, and so phone isn't always the best option. But we've either been making emails or calls and checking in to see who is still open, and if they are, what are they able to do at this time. And so this would be a great time for you to just reach out to them or to your clients and let them know like what you're doing right now with requests, that you're thinking about them, that you're wondering how they're doing. You wonder how, are they open? Do they have, are they able to help with any specific things right now? And then one of the important things, because this is a ROAR webinar specifically, one of the things that Melinda let me know is that she has been getting some contact, and so have clubs and providers, from people whose hearing aids have suddenly stopped working or are having some struggles with that. And so there's a lot of troubleshooting that can actually be done over the phone with those hearing aids. There may even be other options where they can be mailed to locations, or other things may happen. And some of the offices that are closed may be able to accept drop-off items and then work with those items and then get them back to the person maybe by mail. There's a variety of ways that places can still work with your customers. So if you're getting questions from your clients about what to do give Melinda a call or an email, and just she'll help you walk through that and troubleshoot with your providers and see what we may be able to do right now. And then on this next slide, we have just some different ideas of things that you can be doing. So we know right now as Lions, we're still getting those requests in from the referral line. We still got applications. We've got things like that we've got the start of that process, but then we don't have a provider to necessarily send the client to. And so we're wondering, you know, what can we do at this time? Some of us at the office, one of the blessings about this has been that we've been able to go back to some projects or ideas that we've had about, like, wow, if I had a week to just dedicate to doing this, I could reorganize it and it would be so much easier for me to follow the steps for this, or I could write myself out some instructions so that I have something that I can give to someone else if they're helping me with this. So this might be a great time for you to go through and organize your files, update your systems, maybe just go through those applications that you have and just double check to see the statuses on them. Maybe you want to follow more of these webinars and find out more about some of the other programs or learn more about a program that you're involved with already. Connect with us by email or phone. Maybe you want to check in on your Lions Club members. How are they doing? How are your other Lions doing? I know our club has been trying, our Portland Legacy Lions Club is trying to have an online meeting. It'll be the first time we've done that, so we're kind of excited to connect with each other and still see each other and be able to wave and say hi. One of the really great things that you could do during this time that would be so helpful for Melinda and for the other people involved and your providers would be that if you could go through your open applications where you have somebody whose application is pending. If you could go through those and just make sure, if you haven't talked to them in a little bit, are they still at the same address? Is their phone number still good? Is the other contact information for them still good? Do they have any questions? Are they wondering, like, hey, did I get forgotten about, or am I going to still be able to get help? What's going on? So this is a great opportunity for you to check in with individuals and find out what their situations are. Melinda mentioned earlier that we give people about 6 months to pay their service fees. One of the things happening right now is a lot of people are going out of work. They're not able to work. Some of the people that we have that are on assistance programs may be finding additional pressures in their lives right now. Seniors may be having additional pressures. There may be things going on where they're not sure about how they're going to pay those fees now compared to where they were when they started this process. So a great time for you to check in with them, find out where they are with that, and then again, checking in with your providers to see what's going on. From what we've been hearing from the governor's office and in some of the webinars that we participate in with the Oregon Health Authority and other nonprofits here in Oregon, over the next 6 weeks and then throughout the summer, they're going to start slowly opening some of these businesses up that we work with on a regular basis. We don't know how fast. We don't know exactly when those businesses were open. They're all going to be a little bit different because it's going to be depending on how big or how small their organization is and just how they're doing right now. So this is really a great time to check in with us or check in with your provider and find out how they're doing. Maybe it's a great time to do what Melinda suggested earlier and find a new ROAR provider. Or maybe you don't have one in your area right now and you want to find out, how can I get started with this? This would be a great time to take that. You've got the time, and we'd love to help you connect and make that happen and tell you how we can help you help community members with hearing. This is also a great time to say thank you. Thank you to your ROAR providers just for everything that they've been doing. Thank you to other people that you've been working with. Thank you to other nonprofits in your area that maybe are now supporting you. Thank you to those caseworkers and organizations that you work with. They're all still open and working really hard right now to try to keep things going and help their communities. So, and of course, this is a great time, and I'll take this opportunity to say thank you to you too, because I know you're all out there working really hard, and you're trying to do your best for our community no matter what's happening out there. And we love that, and we are so glad that you're here and that you're there and that you're doing everything that you can. And the other thing that we wanted to mention to you, and I know Melinda has some great pointers and ideas to share with you, this is a time to get some testimonies from your clients, or maybe your providers or family members of your clients, or even maybe it's one that you've been meaning to send us and haven't done, because that is so helpful for obtaining grants or funding or sharing with other people why we want them to donate at our Keep the Promise virtual event this year. So Melinda, I'm actually going to hand this back to you and give you a chance to show them some of those amazing testimonies that have been coming in.
All right, thanks, Kerith, and thanks for all that great information. I just wanted to pull some great quotes and photos, from various providers around the state. So I'll share with you this first quote here. I no longer feel so uncomfortable with some conversations. It was embarrassing to have to ask people to repeat themselves. I usually just smiled and hoped it wasn't something sad they were trying to tell me. And these quotes really hit me to think about what it's like to live without hearing. Many of you may know that my father figure was hearing impaired. He's severely hearing impaired. He now has 2 cochlear implants. But when I was growing up, he tried all these different hearing devices, and I was usually the guinea pig because he had trouble hearing higher frequencies, and I had a higher voice. So I would always be wearing some sort of MacGyvered device for him. And so I really have a soft spot for people who are not able to connect with the world around them. And this quote in particular, I hear this all the time, that they just sort of nod and smile and, try to act like they hear you, but they don't hear you. And I can pick up on it right away. But for some people, it might be hard. But right away, I see somebody and I think, they're not hearing me. Do you need hearing aids? Can I help you? The next photo or testimony I was going to share with you is actually this great photo of Max Clark. He's a hearing instrument specialist at Gateway Hearing Aid Center. And many of you know that Gateway Hearing Aid Center has been the recipient of one of our Roar Hearing Providers of the Year. And they work with about 14 different Lions clubs in and around Portland. And they are just really wonderful to work with. I sort of joke that that his office manager, Michelle, that I feel like she should be on our payroll because she does so much for the foundation and for the Lions, and she's just really a pleasure to work with. And so here's this great photo of Max Clark with a Canby Lions Club recipient. George Rainey, the Lions Club Sight and Hearing Chair, helped process, and they're having a conversation, and he's helping her get fit with some new hearing aids, which I love. And got a couple more quotes, and these are actually all from Roarmobile clinics that we've done with Dr. Todd Landsberg. And I don't know if there's enough nice things I could say about Dr. Landsberg and all he's done. And I love how when he's talking to Lions, he says, and we're doing this, and we're doing this. Like, he feels like he's a part of the foundation, and we feel like he's a part of the foundation too. So I just completely adore him, and I really appreciate all he does. So if you're out there, I saw you signed up, but if you're out there, Dr. Landsberg, thank you, thank you. So these are some really great quotes. It's awful when you have to pretend to hear people. After the client was fit with age, she said, wow, I'm going to cause trouble now. That was I love that one from Myrtle Creek. And this one gentleman said, I worked in a cannery and served in the National Guard all long before the time of ear protection. And we hear this a lot, either if they were serving in the military or maybe police officer or machinist. We get this a lot. You are supposed to wear your protective ear protection, but some folks actually were working and doing those things before that even existed. And then when it did exist, it wasn't up to the quality of standards that we have now. And even now, it's really difficult because if you have your ear protection in and you need to hear what's going on around you, a lot of the folks said, I knew I should have worn it, but it was a matter of safety. I had to take it out because I had to hear my coworkers and I had to hear the things around me going on. or else I felt like I wasn't going to be safe. And that's a really tough decision to make, to you know, to put aside your safety, you know, and your hearing, to know that that might damage your hearing long term, but you do it because you are dedicated to the job that you're doing, which is pretty incredible. We also had this great quote down at the bottom. We have a 45-year-old parrot who is loud now, so we are a little nervous as to what he might sound like with our new hearing aids. That was a really great couple from the Bend Sunrise Lions Club, and thanks to Russ Chase, Lion Russ Chase, the Sight and Hearing Chair out of Bend, who I also feel like should be on our payroll. He does so much for us. So he's really wonderful, and he's actually out at all of the Roarmobile events in Bend, assisting with those. So really appreciate you, and love those. We have another great photo coming up here, and this is Dr. Alex Graves, who was with audiology professionals at the time with Dr. Craig Ford, who is a Lion and member of the Eugene Downtown Lions Club, who he's one of those providers I've definitely picked their brain quite a bit, and I appreciate he always takes time to talk to me. And this is a wonderful Eugene Downtown Lions recipient, and she had received help in 2008 with hearing aids, and then just recently in 2018 received another pair of hearing aids through the program. So really wonderful to help her, and I love that photo. So, and I think that's it. I wanted to see if anyone has any questions, any comments, anything you'd like to share, and I might let Brenda chime in and let me know if there's anything that we are not seeing that you'd like to bring to the forefront.
Hello, everybody. Melinda, we do have a question from Nick, and Nick asks, how many clients do we help on average each year?
Well, we're actually, we were on track to help over 300 clients this year. Unfortunately, we're, you know, going to take a little bit of a dip there because of COVID-19. We would love to see more, and we're hoping that as we expand the program, you know, one of the reasons why we brought on these manufacturers is because not all of the providers were wanting to work with refurbished aids. Not all of the clients were wanting to work with refurbished aids. So it was a great opportunity for us to reach out to these great manufacturers to see if they would help us. And I definitely talked to some providers who are adamant against using Starkey, and some providers who will only use refurbished hearing aids and like that relationship, and some providers who are really happy to see sonic innovation and have a new fresh sort of program to work with. So all the things that we can try to do to help more people. There's also the fees and trying to find ways to circumnavigate that for people who don't have the funding. And there's great funds, you know, around the state. So in different areas, like thanks to Nicole Mandarano, our wonderful development director, who has secured several grants down near the Douglas County area, and as well as over in the Deschutes area. So really great foundations that are in those areas that are looking for programs to support. So not only could you be looking for providers in your area, but you might also think about some small foundations and family trusts that exist in the area as well, and reach out and say, we have these great programs, we have this great ROAR program, would you be willing to sponsor maybe a Roarmobile clinic, or would you be able to help some of the local providers pay the fitting fees and some of the clients pay their hearing aid fees? So thanks for the question. I think it led me to other subjects to talk about, but so sorry about that. But yeah, we're happy to help people.
Thank you so much for that, Melinda. Another question, we have several who are asking for copies not only of this presentation, but for some of the materials from the Sight and Hearing Chair packet. Could you talk about the Sight and Hearing Chair packet and what we do with that each year?
Sure. It's funny that you mentioned that, because we've been taking this time to really look at the Sight and Hearing Chair packet, because last year, well, I was joking that I did it on purpose, but I had a kidney transplant in July, right when we were getting the Sight and Hearing the Sight and Hearing Chair packet out. So poor Kerith ended up having to take that project back after she had lovingly given it to me many years ago. So how many pages was the packet last year, Kerith? Do you recall?
I think it was 108.
it's a lot of information, and we were thinking about how do you pare it down, but all of it's really relevant. So we're gonna take a new approach this year, and we're gonna split it up, and so different locations, different clubs are able to access you know, different mini packets that are more applicable for your club and your community. We're going to be getting that out at the end or the beginning of the next fiscal year, which is around July, August. We'll be able to get that out to you. And but if you would like the current sight and hearing share packet, you can reach out to myself or anyone at the foundation, and we're more than happy to email that to you. So if you do, or if you want something specific, I can isolate that out of the packet and send it to you.
One other question we have is, how long does it take sometimes between submitting an application and receiving hearing aids?
Well, there's definitely a lot of variance in that process because, you know, when somebody receives the application, it can take them a while to fill it out. Some people are very prompt, and some people can procrastinate. And so it really depends on when the Lions Club gets that application back. You know, sometimes something happens to the Lions Club volunteers. You know, we let clients know that all the time, that we have this wonderful network of volunteers. They do this out of the goodness of their heart, from their homes, in their free time. It's kind of incredible. And if they end up having surgery or they fall ill, you know, if anything should happen, they go on vacation. Goodness, I mean, they deserve to go on many vacations for all that they do. If they go on vacation, then that can sometimes delay the process. So you know, it would really depend on the variable of that. Once somebody pays their hearing aid fees, it goes really quickly though. If they pay their hearing aid fees, then we would go ahead and ship out the hearing aids to the provider, and it would just depend on when the provider would be able to see them and be fit. The only lag that would happen in that process is if they go through RGS Acoustic Services, because RGS Acoustic Services back in the day was thriving. People were using refurbished hearing aids, and it was such a great idea. Well, if any of you have a new car, I don't know if you've ever flipped up the hood and you've tried to sort of change the oil or change the alternator or the fan belt. It's covered in this plastic, right? It's really difficult. They want you to go back to the manufacturer to be able to get that serviced. Hearing aids are the same way, and that's been a real struggle with RGS. And so it's a lot more difficult to reuse the hearing aids, and RGS has suffered as a result. And so they only have somebody come in once every other week to do the reshelling process for some of the custom aids. And so it can take a little longer depending on the type of hearing aids that have been ordered through RGS. But once I know that, and I hear that from Heather at RGS, who I just adore, then I go ahead and let the client know or the club know that there might be a bit of a delay here, and you might want to let them know. So.
And one last question here is actually for Kerith. Kerith, there was a question about if somebody needs more than hearing aids, is there a way for people to get hearing care beyond hearing aids?
Oh, that's a good question. So our patient services program actually has, people tend to hear more about the vision surgeries that we help with, the cataracts and the retinal surgeries, but we actually do help with hearing procedures as well. So if you have someone who is underinsured or uninsured and needs a hearing procedure done, that is actually something that they can apply through the patient services program for, and we can certainly help them with that. We'll work with them and their local Lions Club to get the funding resources for that and the medical information we need, and then help partner with a local provider who can help them with that.
And you can hear more about that next week, right, Kerith?
That's right, next Thursday at 11.
Yay! So we have this great quote here that actually Katie and Kelly had added to the end of their webinar, and I thought it was very fitting. So I thought we would end with this Helen Keller quote: "I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do." And I thought that that is a very fitting quote that they chose during the time that we're experiencing right now. And I think that that really sums up that, you know, somebody was asking me about what the Lions clubs do, you know, and I sort of told them, I said, have you ever felt really overwhelmed about wanting to change the world? You want to fix everything, you want to help everybody. Well, since I've been a Lion, I sort of have this new wonderful outlook where I can't change the world. I can't help everybody, but you see that bus stop over there? I can help fix that bus stop. You know, you see the elementary school down the way? I can get those first graders some new backpacks. You know, I can help with my Lions Club do these sort of small, in retrospect, things for our community. And if everybody does that for each of their communities, it just builds and strengthens the entire nation, the entire world. So it's a really incredible concept, and I love that about Lions, that their motto is just "We serve," and I think that is just beautifully, simply, incredibly eloquently stated. We serve. So I want to thank Kerith and Brenda and all of our participants. And if you have any more questions, Brenda, do we have any more questions that have come up?
That's all we have for today.
And Kerith, do you have anything more to add?
I am just so glad that we got the opportunity to do this one, to chat with you guys today.
I think
I'll see you next Thursday.
I think I will say that Kerith and I had already sort of started thinking about more, you know, sort of break off webinars we'd like to do, and kind of focus in on, you know, different, like maybe just Lane County, or maybe just, you know, looking for funding. Maybe we could work with, you know, our development director and think about ways to find funding for different programs. And we're just really excited to bring the webinars back. And thanks to Katie Torgensen for having that suggestion, because we're missing it. And so thanks for bringing that up. And on that note, I think that's it. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope you have a beautiful day, and we'll see you next week for the Patient Services webinar.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.